think it's working.
Did it work for a second? We there? Anybody can see us? Okay. If we are live again, I think we are. Sorry about that last false start. The Facebook thing is really overwhelmed, as you know, if you're doing any lives in Facebook, particularly if you're connecting an API like Zoom, you're seeing that freak out pretty regularly. So, hey, we're back. And actually, I'm not sure if we are, Eman.
I just see Lori's comments. I think we might be.
Yes. If you're seeing us, let me just hit up in the group here. If you're seeing us, let us know if we are live.
Okay, I just see Franklin say hi.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay, good.
There's 6 people watching.
New live feed. Let's go, guys. Sorry about that. Facebook's new API, their new producer, is really struggling right now. So anyway, glad you're all here. Let's do this. So introduction is done on the previous live. Lori's here. Thank you, Lori. Eman, you're going to help us with copy. You're amazing. Again, thank you for the time. I know your time's valuable. I know you're insanely busy right now, and really, really appreciate you actually doing this and spending time with us as a group. So we're going to learn today about rewriting and tuning our copy for today's environment. If it's email sequences, if it's funnels, if it's your ad copy, whatever it is, right. Make sure you're paying attention. You got a chance to ask Eman questions right now. Go after it. Ask those questions. Eman, guide us down the path.
Okay, let's kind of start at the top. So conversion copywriting it's designed to push people towards a specific action. And it's not like regular writing. It's not the same as like your regular fiction or nonfiction or anything like that. It's both art and the science. And I say science because it is measurable and it's based on data. And a lot of that data comes from information about people's fears and about their motivations. And those have changed right now. Like with COVID-19, people are feeling totally different things than they were feeling a few months ago. And that's why it's so important that your messaging needs to reflect that. Are we going? Okay.
I think we're good, yeah.
Okay, cool. Because I just thought I glitched. And you have to address that in your copy. And people are scared right now. They're going to be skittish. They're going to be resistant to spend because they think there's a recession coming. Your usual like motivation things that you drip into your copy, like you're going to have all the time in the world, or you can like take that dream vacation. That's not going to happen anymore. So your messaging really needs to adapt because people are they're not looking for, they're not thinking about success right now. They're thinking about survival. And your copy needs to start to reflect that essentially. And the way you have to, I mean, there are a couple of ways you can go about doing it. And there's the right way, which is, approaching it with like a sense of calmness and compassion and control really. And the other way is just kind of like the corporate droid way where you're like, we are implementing hand washing policies. No, like they don't care about that. Like, sure, like you're kind of addressing their fears a little bit, but you need to speak to them like a human being. You need to anchor what is happening in context. Like you need to anchor your offers in context with whatever's happening in the rest of the world. You need to normalize what they're feeling without kind of patronizing them. And then you need to acknowledge what they're going through and that you are, well, this is like this big global shared experience that's happening. So you need to be able to acknowledge that, the whole we're all in this together kind of thing. And then you need to double back and you need to be addressing those fears that are kind of holding them back from taking like the purchasing steps. So you need to be reasserting value. You need to be raising perceived value at every opportunity. And you need to be transparent about what's working and what isn't right now. Like, for example, if you have a $20,000 offer right now, most likely people aren't going to be able to invest in that. But what you need to be able to acknowledge that, look, this might be too much for you right now, but here's how we're able to meet you. Should we use the word survival in our copy? Depends on your industry. I mean, if you're selling like a pair of shoes, I wouldn't be talking about survival. It really like it really depends on context.
I've got
And
some shoes that are totally part of my survival strategy right now. They're
like
really helping me through this.
they're
So
gonna help you run from the toilet paper hoarders, maybe. But no, survival should be part of your message. Like we want them to shift from thinking about survival. Like that's essentially the kind of shift you're looking for in your copy, because if they're in survival mode, they're not going to be looking to spend. You have to help them shift their mindset from thinking that this is, the end of the world is the apocalypse, I need to save every penny, and shift them to thinking this is the time to invest in their businesses, this is the time to nurture leads, this is the time to be working your marketing so that you can thrive once this is over. So it's kind of finding that in your copy, you're going to have to help them. It's almost like copy therapy at this point, because you have to help them shift from that place of fear to a place where they're comfortable investing, if that makes sense. I hope that answers your question, Lori.
great question.
Yeah. And I totally lost track of what I was saying apart from that. So more questions, please.
It's not about shoes. Just keep talking about shoes.
Yeah. So don't be selling shoes right now. That's not like you have to think about it's kind of like everyone's talking about essential services. But there's like the law of Maslow's law of hierarchy. Like if your product isn't an essential service, people aren't going to be willing to spend money right now unless you help them shift from that frame, that mindset of fear and like panic, to a place where they're more comfortable investing. And the other thing is, like, it's more important than now, like ever before, for you to be investing in your copy, because copy does helps you raise the perceived value, and kind of your perceived value is the value of your product in relation to like the dollar amount, essentially. So like it's essentially like a $50 course that has $1,000 worth of information in it. It's going to look great. So that's you need to communicate how much value that you're actually bringing to the table, and that's more important now than ever. And you're also going to find that because people are more hesitant to spend money, you're going to have to really double down on anything about trust, anything that helps you build credibility. I'm urging all of my clients to spend time going on podcasts, doing authority building. Like, this is the time that they should be sending out those weekly newsletters, and like doing those long form blog posts. This is the time for them to really be focusing on the nurture content, especially if you have a product that doesn't sell well during this time. If you have like a non-essential product, this is the time you should be investing in brand building, so that you are still relevant, essentially, once this whole thing passes.
Awesome. I'm going to interrupt you just for a second, Eman, because there's a great question here. By the way, welcome, Ryan, Remo. Great to see you, Douglas, Peter. Just so great to see all y'all. So Remo says, my client is about to launch a site selling vitamins, PPQ plus Q10. So vitamins, supplements, things like that. A content example on this topic, please, in context with your explanation. So with this calming way you're approaching this, what's an idea of how to really go after that market of vitamins, supplements, things like that, that are non-essential in some ways? Sometimes they are essential, but most of the time it's not. It's a luxury.
I mean, I think vitamins and the supplements and anyone in the health market is in a great position right now, because everybody wants to like be at their very healthiest. And we're seeing this even with fitness studios right now, because people are going, they're having more classes than usual, because they're doing things virtually, because people are stuck at home and they're trying to see this as an opportunity to build up their immunity and their health and just get into the best shape ever. And I think vitamins just fit really well into that narrative. If you position it as like, you've never really had time to take your vitamins, and now is the great time to kind of get into a routine. And if you do periphery content around that, I think you're great.
Awesome. Fantastic. I like that line. Never really had time to get into vitamins. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. So Remo, same, back at it. Let's see. Our content is targeted to be educational on PPQ and Q10. I agree with you, and would like to know how we could push the action for buying the product with our strategy. I'm
going to be totally honest. I have no idea what a PPQ or Q10
is. Help us out with that, Remo. Just give us a little more, little less industry jargon there. I'm a fourth grader. Maybe I'm a first grader. So I would love, give me some education. That'd be awesome. Just explain those acronyms so we can make sure. Great questions. So how are you handling, so right now, Eman, there's so much content that we all have in our own brands. We have all these websites, pages, landing pages, funnels, email sequences. It's kind of overwhelming to figure out how, do we have to go back and rewrite the whole thing, or do we just change titles? Do we just change a few things in certain paragraphs? I mean, how do we, it's a monster project.
Yeah, it's definitely a pretty big thing to kind of go through, but you do need to go through everything and then make sure that there are like you need to make sure that there's nothing in there that makes you sound tone deaf. So if you have things about, take your dream holiday, or like take 4 weeks off work, that's not going to work. You need to modify that, and you need to switch that from, say, like dream holidays to like financial security, for example, because people are worried about that. Anywhere where you see like the carrot essentially that you're using to sell things has changed. It's not a carrot anymore. Like it's safety and security. It's a roof over your head. So anything that has that kind of language, that needs to be adapted. And you need to also, if depending on what your product is, if it's relevant to like whatever is happening, that needs to go right at the top. I think someone said that just now, like Ryan Victor. Yeah, so like absolutely, like that needs to go in there. Payment plans are great as well. You need to create, you need to be addressing risk, because people are very risk averse right now. So if you're in the position to offer like a 30-day guarantee, or say a live call to walk them through anything that gives them like that added sense of security that you're A, not a scammer, and B, that this is the right product for them, that's incredibly important now more so than ever.
Oh, fantastic. Yes, I completely agree. I'm not a copywriter, sure don't claim to be. And we've had great success with our own agency, our dental high-end specialists, surgeons. We're really working the payment plans and structuring those deals, and it's really doing great. I would just absolutely continue to do that. I'm more of a function versus form guy when it comes to my marketing structure versus Eman's. She's definitely got the form thing figured out. But yeah, the payment plans, anything we can do right there to address the risk.
Yeah,
So
for
helpful.
sure. Payment plans, but also like including things like case studies are great. Right now we're adding a case study email to every single email sequence that we're sending out for clients who are launching. Also, as much social proof as possible. Video is great. If you can get your ideal clients to essentially give you video testimonials, that's incredibly powerful. We're putting those in emails. We're putting them on the sales pages. These are just general best practices anyway, but they're more important now, and you really want to like turn that up to an 11 right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see Remo's comment right now. It's basically vitamins that's going to improve your immune system, boost your heart health, build cells, etc. Looking for text around the shopping cart to have them hit that buy button. So with selling products like in the sort of nutraceutical market, you have to be really careful about the kind of claims you're making. So you're not going to be able to say anything like this is going to help you fight COVID-19, because there's no actual proof that it will. You're going to be able to say things like you have like you don't know what's coming. This is a great opportunity for you to support your immune system with this. And like if you have, and I would honestly, around the buy button, if you've got great testimonials, that's the place to put them. If you're using like checkout pages of any kind, you really need to have testimonials on all of them, especially right now. So yeah.
Great answer.
This isn't going to be over anytime soon. Business have shifted for the foreseeable future. In your opinion, do we reflect that in our message, or do we stick to urgency? It really depends. Again, so unfortunately, the answer for a lot of copywriting questions is it depends, because it really does depend on the product you're selling, where your audience is at, and how they're kind of dealing with this whole thing. So if you are a marketer, I would be talking about helping them weather the storm. Like, this is going to change eventually, and we'll help you position yourself so that you come out of this looking good. That's essentially like the strategy we are taking with our clients. If you're someone that's looking for like if your sales cycle is shorter, like if you're trying to sell things quickly, then obviously urgency like this, you need to get into shape now. You need to boost your immunity now. It's more important now than ever. So like, it really depends. Your strategy has to stem from your audience and the kind of product you're selling and where they are like emotionally, and like what their like psychographic profile looks like right now.
Mm-hmm. Great answers. By the way, Cian, welcome. Good to see you. Okay, so another question that I keep coming up on in this group is when it comes to like ads that we're running or Facebook posts, everybody's posting their own stuff in their own groups. They're trying to run ads, maybe boosting posts, whatever they're doing on the budget they have right now. Are there simple things, simple words that you're really trying to include in that initial header, that initial copy that people see that really attracts them, that's also not going to get yanked by Facebook or Google, anybody else who's pulling? Because you can't say COVID, you can't say, Corona, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you can't say COVID, you can't say Corona. I think pandemic is also being banned right now. You really, in terms of like actual words that you can use, the stuff that used to work for good copy still works. The things that have like you in it, like, the pronoun you really works because you see like it makes more of a connection. Anything that it really just depends, honestly. Like, I don't think there's like a specific formula for hooks right now that works better than it used to. Anything that is catchy and it's short and is kind of that still like is anchored in the context, just doesn't kind of ignore everything that's going on and is relevant, is going to work. I would say be very careful of fear mongering. I mean, it's just generally, you don't want to agitate an already agitated audience because right now what we're seeing, especially with social copy and ad copy, is that you might get a quick sale, but then it kind of turns off the client. You're starting to see people lose sales if they really drum up the fear part too much right now. So I would say like be really careful with how much fear you're using.
That's really good. I'm personally attracted to people I'm seeing online that are really messengers of hope right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's easy to watch the politicians and the World Health Organization folks scare us all to death. That's their job. But
yeah, absolutely.
I want to watch Ellen and Jimmy Fallon because they're making me feel happy. And when I'm looking at ad copy, I want the same thing.
Exactly. And like, if your feed and if your brand is making them feel bad and unpleasant and agitated and afraid and anxious, they're not going to want to come and look at your stuff. I mean, really, like, people like what makes them feel good. So like kind of making that somewhere that's almost like a safe space. And I know that sounds really woo, and I'm not a woo person at all, believe me. But as long as like you are creating a space where they feel welcome, and that is addressing their anxiety, and it like addressing it not by just calling it out, but like giving them a safe space, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Brennan just asked, Brennan, great to see you, but Brennan just asked, what type of keywords typically get flagged as spam by email provider? Example, buy free, etc. Great question.
Buy free, giveaway, discount, things like that. If you have those in your subject lines, they're likely to get flagged. We've been able to put it in the copy as long as it's not over the top, and as long as you have a good getting flagged really depends. It's not like a one-time thing usually. If you have a good relationship with your list, like if people are generally opening your list, if people are engaged, even you can get away with having, like, you can use free within your copy and you can use buy within your copy without seeing too much of an impact. But again, you can't really put that in your subject lines.
Okay, great. All right, any other tips that you have, just as we're like, if we're going through sales pages that we already have, our own websites or our clients' websites? Let's take our own for a second. As marketers, most people in here are marketers of some sort. We're selling something, our service to somebody else. Where should we start? We have like 30 minutes. We're trying to prospect. We got so much going on. What should we look for first? Should we just refocus in on certain areas of our websites, or what's the highest priority? We don't have much time.
So look at whatever gets your clients the most ROI, because right now businesses are going to be looking at, they're not going to be looking at things like, for example, within the copywriting world, like about page copy or website copy is not really a priority because it doesn't make them money. Look at what makes your clients the most money and where they get the most ROI, and talk about how this is the way for them to get like financial security, essentially, because that's really people's number one priority after, not dying. Always a priority. Not dying is always a great priority. But right now, financial security is really important. So if you can kind of connect your service to the survival of their businesses and their ability to weather a recession, that's probably the first place to start. So look at what brings them the most ROI and then connect it with getting through this whole thing.
Fantastic. All right. Tommy over in Austria. Tommy and we hung out earlier this morning. He's a fantastic guy. Great copywriter too. You guys should hook up. How would you focus on hope for a security company, which is a fear-driven niche? Okay. Security company. I'm thinking like security company as in like home security, business security. That's what I don't think it's like securities as in financials.
Okay. Home security, business security. We're not talking about like IT and stuff like that. So it's like, are we talking like CCTV stuff?
Yeah, let's CCTV, and then like the doors, windows, that kind of thing, Ring cameras. Let's just assume that's it. Clarify, Bud, if you want to, and we can make sure we're on the page there.
Okay, so for CCTVs, I would shift the focus from like, I would probably test this actually. You could look at how your regular sort of fear-driven copy, which is like, don't let people break into your house, be protected, all of that, versus like a peace of mind approach with everything else going on. Do you really want to be worrying about how secure your home is? So I would frame it that way, like frame it, anchor it in the context that there is so much going on and that they're so worried about everything else. Let us take this one thing off your list is the way I would approach it. Yeah.
That's a really good idea. That's a great twist that still gets it is a worry. Yeah. Let us worry for you. Well, I like that.
Thank you.
Nice. Armed response, he said. So we're on the right track there.
Okay.
Armed response. Armed response is better than my home security system. My alarm just goes off in the couch. I want some dude showing up with a machine gun. That's awesome. Okay, good. And a mask and gloves. Gotta have that.
Definitely the mask.
All right. Anybody else, if you want to fire any questions away, this is amazing content. Eman, thanks so much for doing this for us.
No worries.
So,
I'm happy to be here.
Let me be clear real quick before we wrap this up. We're not about to wrap it up. We'll still take questions. That's totally cool. I don't get any compensation for this. I just want to be clear about that. This is the first time I've ever let anybody else speak in our group, and I'm not letting her, I'm asking her. Again, it took me a little time to get this set up with Eman, but totally appreciate this because we need this right now. I'm not getting any kind of affiliate link. There's nothing. Is that true, Eman? Am I?
No, that's completely true.
Okay, great. So Eman's sites that you should check out because her copy and content is really good. And she's got lots of examples that you could learn from. Thescribesmith.com. And I'm actually drop this down in the comments down here as well. Thescribesmith.com and the conversionkit.com. Explain the differences for us real quick, Eman, between those two sites and what we're looking for there.
Sure. So thescribesmith.com is where we host most of our client services. It's our one-to-one work, and it's usually for people like who are launching their products or services. And it's like our big service essentially. And going into this, and there's kind of been talk about a recession happening for some time now, and we wanted to be able to diversify our income and have some way of capturing leads who can't necessarily offer like a 10K, 25K project. And that's why we created the conversion kit. And that's essentially our store where we take the processes and the copywriting strategies that we developed at Scribesmith over the last few years and turn those into templates and brainstorming systems, essentially with the decks, which you'll see if you visit the site. We've created like a physical product there, and there's all of that there. There's also a COVID-19 response kit that we put together for our clients. And there is a coupon code if you guys want. It's just for this group, so please don't like share it around too much. And it's response 20. I think Chris can like maybe pop that in there.
Popping that in there right now.
Okay,
yes.
Cool. And great. That's less about like your sales pages and things like that. That's more about the kind of emails that you need to be sending out in this specific circumstance. So like, what can you do to address the fear right away? If you're in e-commerce and you've had like, if you're having shipping delays, or your products just aren't going to go out at all, so those kind of emails are in there. If you are as an agency, if you're having clients that need to reschedule, like want refunds, things like that, how to address that, and the kind of responses you need to be sending out, how to proactively reach out to your clients in these circumstances. So there's copy in there for all of that.
I've looked through that one right there, and that is, sorry, Eman, you can either hire her to do this for you, or you can just download that thing and copy paste. Is that, sorry,
pretty copy paste?
Yeah. No, that's really is a lot of good content in there. And thanks again for the discount code. Like, totally appreciate that. That's really kind. Also, you should just look at these two sites simply because of her layout and her structure and her copy that she's using. Like, look at the site and analyze it sort of as a funnel hacker. This is not a ClickFunnels community, but you get the concept. Like, look at what she's doing. She's very intentional, and she understands the human heart, and she understands how to relate and how to connect in words and in images. Her site's very calming. Her background, my background is very dark. I feel like I'm in Batman's cave. I mean, the background right now on her screen is so calming. That is her brand. It's her model, and it really does work. So take advantage of that, and you can have it. What's up, Connor? Great to have you join, man. So I have a couple more questions. Can I ask a few more that have kind of lined up in my message thread that people have sent over the past few days? The first one is, I wrote them down here so I wouldn't have to look them up later. First one is, I have an email funnel with 23 emails. Open rates are going down. Is that a copy issue, or is it just a sign of the times? We'll get better.
If this is an email sequence that's converted in the past, and like if open rates have been good, it might be a sign of the times, or it might be that your subject lines are no longer relevant. There are definitely more emails in people's inboxes right now than usual, because everybody's trying to either market something or address the crisis in some way. So you have to make sure, it's more important now to have really catchy subject lines. So again, right now, really, you should be having people's first names in their subject lines as much as possible. You need to have, I feel like humor is working really well. Humor tends to always work well, but it's working well now more than ever, because really people want to skip over the doom and gloom and click the email that makes them like giggle. So, and that obviously is not going to be appropriate for all industries, but really finding that balance for yours. So yeah.
Okay, great. The next question over here was, doing payment plans and discounts. Should I include that in my ad copy and email subject lines?
I would send, so for email specifically, if people haven't purchased, like if you're launching and you're kind of past the halfway point and people aren't purchasing, and you're getting close to cart close, I would include subject lines about payment plans and things like that over there. I would definitely be including it in the actual copy. I would split test at that point about how it really works. And I would maybe, you're right. I have seen it work for emails right now. For ad copy, including it in the actual copy, sure, but I wouldn't really include it right at the top.
Okay. All right, great.
You want to be selling people on the value and not the fact that it's cheap. Like I take issue with like the phrasing around discounts in general, because I feel like it devalues your product. You never want to be doing that. You really want, especially right now, you really want to be raising perceived value rather than like discounting. So if you can reduce scope and offer at a lower price, do that, but I wouldn't slash your prices right now.
Okay, great question. Okay, fantastic. All right, I'm going to ask a question that's very near and dear to my heart. This is my question. On this Facebook page, as an example, the Elite Agency Inner Circle, I'm looking at it right now on my phone. Elite Agency Inner Circle, discover how to scale your agency working less than 2 hours a day. I'm on my 4th creative agency, and I literally work less than 30 minutes a day.
Right.
Is that copy is why we built this group to help people understand that model.
Right.
Is that irrelevant right now? Or is that still like, I mean, a lot of people right now are just, I'll work 20 hours a day if it'll help me get
Right.
a client, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like it probably needs to be updated for right now. I'm sorry. I
Well,
hate
this
to
is embarrassing right here in front of everybody.
I'm sorry. Um, I mean, I would just maybe spin it a little bit and say something along the lines of like, build your agency right now that you have the time, so that once this is through, you can work 30 hours, 30 minutes a day. Don't want to be working 30 hours. Yeah, so 30 minutes a day, or sorry, was it 2 hours a day?
2 hours a day is what I have in
Yeah.
there, but yeah,
Yeah.
just whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
30 minutes
Definitely.
is the real number, but most people think that's like, there's no,
Yeah, that's
whatever. You'll get there.
That's the goal someday.
Yeah, you'll get there. Anybody can.
Yeah.
All right, we'll work on that. We might run it past you. All right. So in your own agency, last question I have, in your own agency, if anybody else has any questions specific they want Eman to help with on your copy, like feel free, literally copy paste it here. Let's do this. The more we can learn together, the better. We'll wrap this up like 5 or so minutes if we wrap up on Q&A. For your own agency right now, Eman, how are you actually dealing with your copy, your outreach? Like what's working for you? How are you, because you're selling right now. How are you selling?
So what I did was we sent an email out to all the clients we've worked with in the past year and a half, 2 years-ish, checking in on how they're doing and seeing if they need any support. Some people reply, I think we got about 70 to 80% replying saying like, oh my God, we don't know what to do anymore. And that was a great opportunity for us to sell shorter packages, like smaller time-based packages. We sold a bunch of day rates. We've sold a lot of the response kits that we sent out. We've given those to, and those have led to more like a few bookings like later on in the year. But essentially, our core strategy was reaching out to current clients and telling them, kind of proactively reaching out and telling them why it's so important that they keep us around, really, because like you have to stay relevant is like the message that we're going at it with them. And that's been working really well. We are very fortunate that we aren't in a position where we've lost any work or any clients, and we still have leads coming in. And that's not because we're like the greatest copywriters in the world. It's really because we've been consistent about marketing our business and showing up and establishing authority as often as possible. And we're continuing to do that. Honestly, in the past 2 weeks, I have been on so many podcasts. It's ridiculous. I think I've been on 2 a day almost.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like we've stepped up outreach because it's so important now that you stand out. There's more competition now than ever because everybody's going to be going up for the same gigs and people are going to be really like, you're fighting for every podcast spot. Essentially, you're fighting for like every gig that comes in. So the best way to do that is kind of establishing a category of one and like being people's first choice. And if they see your name everywhere, they think you're the best and they're going to want to work with you.
That's really, really good. Well, I like that. Okay. I love that a lot. Nice work.
Thank you. It's exhausting. I don't work 30 minutes a day. I work 18 hours a day. Let's be real here.
That's great. So, okay. You've been extremely helpful. Like, thank you so much. Thanks for the discount codes. Thanks for the links. Thanks for like real live input that actually helps us sell today. That is so critical. Like truly. Thanks for being an example. A leader.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I really hope it was actually helpful for people. If you guys are watching like the replay and you have questions, put them in there and I'm in the group. I'll answer them.
Okay. Awesome. We'll do it. Awesome. Eman, you're the best.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Have a fantastic day. All right. Bye.
Bye.